If some people can't make it, that's perfectly fine. We're gonna,
It's
we're gonna
recorded
record it.
anyway, so people can rewatch it.
Yeah. For those who just popped in, there's a link in the whiteboard channel that gives you the link to my presentation. We're gonna be going over it, together and stuff like that. Alright. Tell me whenever you are ready to, hit record.
Well, I'm ready, and I think most of the people who are currently listening. Oh, Adrian just joined. Great, you're just in time, honestly, because we're just starting.
Yeah.
Click the link in whiteboard to get access to the actual presentation because it has pretty pictures.
Yee. Yeah, pretty pictures. Next day to fall night working on it.
Yeah.
Big picture. Okay. Alrighty. Are you ready? You recording?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay. Hello everyone, my name's Okami. Welcome to the VTuber model class. Today we're going to be doing lesson 1, which is Introduction to Models and Tracking. Let's go ahead and dive right on into the one of the most key elements of doing a VTuber. Okay, there we go. Alright, so, if you guys are following on, onto the next page. What is a VTuber model? A VTuber model is a persona or character used to represent someone else or someone instead of showing themselves on camera. There's many different ways of reasons of why someone wouldn't want to show their face on camera. Could be due to anxiety, just overall comfort, or just to be a persona of any kind. Let's go over the different types of models. There's 3 main types of models out there. There's PNG, there's 2D, and there's also 3D. We'll go over all of the pros and cons of each model, and some of the programs that you can use to create and or rig these models. So, we're going to be going in order, PNG, 2D, and 3D. Covering PNG models, the pros and cons of PNG models consist of low CPU usage, which is really nice if you don't have a good, computer. It is low budget and really good for starting out. Just in case if you don't want to spend the money on something that you are starting into, wanting to do, and not entirely sure of how to go about it, or if it might be a short-term thing. Some of the cons with doing a PNG model is very limited and no movement, very little and no facial expressions, give or take. There's no tracking at all, and there's not available in VR. You can technically do it in VR, but it's weird and
it's a 2D image, it's not 3D. That's the whole thing about VR.
No, you can upload 2D images to VR, although you can't use your hands or legs or anything. It just tracks it to your face. Alrighty, on to I didn't put it in here, but PNG models can be used, or can be made with any sort of application that you use for art and stuff like that, like Photoshop. What is it? I use Paint Tool Sci. There's an Apple one. I can't remember what it is. But yeah.
The Apple one,
the Apple one. I don't know what the heck it is. Can't remember. But yeah. Any sort of art program is usually really good. On to 2D models. 2D models being one of the most highly sought after models on the market. some of the programs that you use for 2D models for rigging them is Live 2D. The pros and cons of a 2D model consist of high mobility, high facial expression options, and is very easily customizable. The cons consisting of, medium to high cost. Usually, it can be anywhere between $50 to hundreds of dollars, depending on how complex it is.
I've seen 2D models reaching over 3,000, and that's just the art. So, the medium starts at like 100, if at the least, and that's even without the rigging.
Yeah.
Most of the times you have to pay both for art and also for rigging, which makes it kind of very expensive.
Yeah, it is very expensive. 2D models usually have limited hand tracking. Hand tracking can be very complex on 2D models. But yeah, we'll cover that in another lesson. And it is not easily ported into VR games. On to 3D models. Some of the programs that you will use whenever creating a 3D model is Blender and Unity, or Vtuber Studios. Some of the pros consisting of highest mobility out of all options, high facial expression options. It's easily customizable, although it is slightly harder to customize and or change than its 2D counterpart. It has the best hand tracking over all of the options, and it is very easily ported into VR games. Some of the cons consisting of high CPU usage and medium to high cost. Once again, it is a very complex model. It will cost, a good chunk of change and stuff like that.
Especially if it's like all custom made.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like for example, the picture is a girl DM. Like her model is fully made in Blender and Unity and stuff, and that's like thrice the price of my normal commissions because I simply use Vtuber Studio.
Oh yeah. So I would not recommend doing a 3D model if you are not sure that your computer can handle it.
Yeah.
Always check to see if your computer can handle it. Alright. Let's go on to tracking. Well, what is tracking? Tracking is using a camera to track your IRL face and or body to your rigged model. Let's go on to the different ways of tracking. There are three main types of tracking. There's phone tracking, there's webcam tracking, and there's VR tracking. So let's go ahead and cover all of those in order, starting with phone tracking. Some of the programs that you would use whenever using your phone to track and, control your model consist of iFacial Mocap, Wideo, I don't know how to pronounce that, and Vtuber Studios. As you can see off to the right of each program, it does say which type of model it does do for tracking. Some of the pros for using a phone for tracking your model is it lowers CPU usage on your PC. It is good if you don't have a camera, a webcam. And it has the best facial tracking out of all the options. I do have little asterisks, but we'll go over that in a little bit. The cons consisting of needs a phone with facial recognition.
Fuck yeah, you're an awesome motherfucker. Thanks for the follow, bro.
There's some Android phones that have facial recognition, and there's some other phones all over the world that do have facial recognition, but most notably is iPhone X and newer phones that do. The going on the list of cons, applications may cost money. Phone cannot be charged while connected via USB for tracking. So whenever you are using your phone to track your face and control your model, most of the time you're not going to be able to charge it, and there is a way to do it. There is a way to charge your phone, but it is very complex and convoluted. And using the phone does not have the greatest hand tracking. Some applications do, but it's not the greatest. Moving on to webcam tracking, which is one of the most it has one of the most
Common?
options for programs. Yeah, it is the most common, I will say that.
Yeah.
Some of the programs consist of VC-Face, Purple Live, Leopard, VTube Studio, and there's many more. I'm not going to go over the entire list. If you want the entire list, I can link it sometime later on. The pros consisting of better control over your model overall, works right away, and it has free apps. The cons consisting of CPU usage and might require additional hardware for hand tracking. For instance, there is a piece of hardware that you can get called a Leap Motion controller. It's like a mini Kinect that you can, clip onto your collar, or you can set it on your desk, and it will track your hands. Moving on to the most expensive part of tracking, which is VR tracking. Now, I know that the list of cons looks very long, but give or take. The programs that you will use whenever using VR tracking is Tracking World, Virtual Motion Capture, which is VMC, and Suva, which I have no idea about. The pros consisting of best body tracking over all the options. I'll go over the actives later on. Immersive experience and hand tracking. The cons consisting of FTB means FBT means full body tracking. So full body tracking requires additional hardware and or coding. Usually high cost. Requires headset and base stations to do tracking. Very high CPU usage. Limited facial expression control. 3D models only, and it can be very uncomfortable over time. So, in order to get the best full body tracking and control over your fingers and stuff, you would need a index and or trackers to be strapped to your body. There's many different ways of tracking and getting full body tracking. You can get some slime trackers, tundra trackers. You can even go for, if you feel like putting in the money, which I honestly don't recommend, getting the Vive trackers, because they cost a lot. There's better options for tracking. The only way to get individual finger tracking would be via an index controller and or haptic gloves. Let's go ahead and go on to some tips of models and tracking. Making sure that you're in a well-lit room helps immensely with making sure that you do not lose tracking and just overall betters the experience of controlling your model.
And then the lighting in front and above you. Like, not just a random light, like, on the other side of the room, which might let the room, like, look bright, but it's, like, behind you and it casts a shadow on your face. So, be sure to have, like, a light in front of you as well.
I do not recommend using natural lighting at all, because especially if you are doing long-term streams and or videos, I would not recommend doing that. So use artificial light, aka a lamp of some kind. look towards the camera whenever calibrating. Highly recommend doing this. Just to make sure that everything is, aligned and stuff like that. Keybind your Calibrate button. Keybind it. Honestly, it's the greatest thing ever. Do it, because if you don't have it already, do it. Because over time, whenever you are, streaming or recording a video, right, I highly recommend doing this, because over time, your camera might lose some calibration to your body. And if you, for instance, look away from your camera or anything like that, if your model loses tracking, it is really good to keybind your Calibrate button to something that is easily rememberable. That way, it's very accurate, For VR and full body tracking, highly recommend covering reflective surfaces, because the lasers going out of the base stations, if it hits a reflective surface, it can mess up the tracking, and you might have to recalibrate and stuff like that.
And also, if
just
you wear
in general-
glasses, either wear contact lenses or make sure that the lights don't refract out of your glasses. Otherwise, the tracking will think that those are your eyes, and they will go wonky. I'm struggling with it, so take my advice. Don't face the light directly at you. Okay, go on.
Yeah. No, you're good. That's a really good point. I didn't add that in there. I don't wear glasses, so I didn't think about it. So yeah. Think of some other way to use contacts are really good. If you do wear glasses, this is a really good thing. If you do wear glasses and you have a VR headset, this is gonna sound weird. I don't recommend wearing glasses with your VR headset. Mainly for the fact of it can scratch up the lenses inside, making them foggy and not that good at all. So, if you can wear contacts, highly recommend wearing contacts with your VR headset. If you have the money to do so, get the prescripted lenses that insert into your headset. Just a general tip out there, whenever commissioning a model of any kind, specify everything that you want on the model. Literally, there's no such thing as over-detailing what you want on your model, because it is really good for the commissionee, the person that you are commissioning to do your model, to get a overall good look into what you want. References are really good. Color palettes are really, really good. Just literally shove everything.
Yeah, even if it's just a random mood board you found on Pinterest. Like, I've had to make a model purely based on a mood board, and it went out great. Just because they kept spamming me with little details. Be like, oh no, I want hard glitters in the eyes and stuff.
Yeah. So, just whenever you're commissioning a model, or any sort of art in general, definitely give them everything that you want. Little details, everything. Enough with the tips of models and tracking. Let's go ahead and move on to today's homework. It's time to get creative. If you have a model already, what would you want to change to improve it? If you don't have a model, what would you want your model to look like? So today's task, or not today's task, the task for today's lesson is draw a sketch or use a character creator to make and or tweak your model. We will be reviewing your sketches or character creation results at the beginning of the next lesson. So I'm excited to see what all you do, even if it's little things.
I'll be putting 3 links in the thing, in the what's it called? charactercreator.org, and 2 pick crews who could help. If you don't want to make changes to improve, I would say make it a challenge to make your own model in pick crew or any kind of limited creator and just try to make it as close as possible.
Alrighty. That is all for today's lesson. If you have any questions, I'll just, throw them at me. I'll also look into the whiteboard because I realized that I did not look at them. So, let me go ahead and see a relevant entire list to see what would fit in my budget and quality. I can maybe give you a list of overall budget, but then again, it will it all depends on person to person and depends on what you want. So yeah. Let me go ahead and there we go. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I do not mind.
Do it now while the recording is still going so we can include it into the video.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm gonna go ahead and take a drink of my cappuccino while we wait for some questions to roll in.
Same, but with my water bottle.
To be honest, right now I don't have any questions. Okay.
That's fine too.
If you have any questions later on, shoot me a DM. I don't care. I'll answer them.
Or put it in the classes channel. Adrian.
Adrian is raising his hand. Go for it. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
You have yourself muted, Adrian.
What you got for us?
Alright, I got it back. So, when streaming on... I know you talked about, like, when streaming on... using Vroid models on PC and phone, but what about other devices like consoles or...
Consoles don't support any tracking devices or programs.
Okay. No, I do have okay. So, yes and no at the same time. So, you cannot use your Xbox to,
to VTube,
track your model or anything like that. At least I know of. But there is a very, very convoluted way of using a Xbox Kinect to do full body tracking. It is not the greatest for doing facial expressions, but it's very convoluted. You need an app, and honestly, using a Xbox 360 Kinect is better than using a Xbox One Kinect. But even then, you will have to plug it into your computer, and it would act as a camera. Did that answer your question? I hope it does. But yeah, you cannot use any sort of console like an Xbox or a PS5 or 4 to track your model.
It will be better for things like Beat Saber type stuff.
Yeah. Alright, that's good to know.
Hey. Well, I'm glad I could somewhat help you with okay. Alrighty. I'm assuming that is all of the questions.
Yep.
That either me and I done a really good job of explaining things, and or if people just don't have any questions at the moment.
You've done great.
Heck yeah.